Hello, my dear students. I hope you're doing good at home. I'm going to share a very important chapter from class 7th grade, that is water. As we know that water is one of the natural resource which is present in adequate amount on Earth's surface. Around 71% of Earth's surface is covered with water. And as we know that water is the important component that is there for the survival of the living organisms. So I would like to share about the details of this chapter, including that what are the forms of water that we see on this planet Earth. Water is present in three forms. That is, for number one is the rainwater that we see. That is the purest form of water that we gain from the sky, from the atmosphere. Similarly, there is second another important form of water, that is the groundwater. Groundwater is also one of the pure forms of water which we can get through hand pumps, tube wells. So this is how we get the groundwater. Now coming to the third form of water, that is also a very important form of water, that is the surface water. And the surface water includes the water that we get from oceans, seas, rivers, lakes, and ponds. So these are all the water bodies which are actually present on the surface, and these are giving the surface water. But if we talk about the ocean water or the sea water, it is actually a salty water. It is a saline water because it is having dissolved salts in it. So it is actually not potable. Potable means it is not good for human consumption. So basically, it undergoes a process of so that the salt can be eliminated and the pure water can be gained. So we cannot directly gain the water from oceans and seas. Although if we talk about rivers and lakes, these are actually the freshwater bodies from where you can use water, and these are actually used for domestic purposes and for irrigation purposes, that is for agricultural purpose used by the farmers. So water is having a very important role in everywhere, in every sphere, if we talk about, not only in the domestic purposes, or you can say the agricultural purposes, but also in the industrial level, if we talk. Many industries require water for the good production of for the good manufacturing of the products, including the chemicals, steel, paper, and pulp industries. They require a lot of water so that they can manufacture the product very good. So these are actually some important points that reveals the importance of water, and I hope you are getting to know the importance of water. I hope you will not waste it, you will save it for the future sustainability. So this is a small message that I also want to give through my video. Simultaneously, I would like to talk about the states of water. Water is present in three states: solid, liquid, and gaseous state. If we talk about the liquid state, that is the liquid form. That is, we drink water, and that is that the water that we drink, or the water that we swim in. Actually, this is actually a liquid form of water. And this liquid form of water, all these states of form can be interchangeable, can be interconverted into one and the other form. So if we talk about the liquid, that is the water form, it can be converted to a solid form. When we freeze or when we give the temperature at a lower amount, at that time, the water or the liquid form can be converted into a solid form. That is ice. We always found ice in our refrigerators, and that has been converted to a process called freezing actually. So the water or the liquid form can be converted to a solid form through the process of freezing. Similarly, if we talk about the solid form, a solid form can also be converted to a liquid form, and that process is actually called melting. Similarly, the water, it can be converted to a water vapor form. When we boil the water, it can be converted to water vapor or the gaseous state of water. And simultaneously, I would like to discuss about the water cycle. That's also a very important cycle that is present in your textbooks. So let's discuss about the water cycle. Let's see what water cycle is and what are the components that make a water cycle run on. So in water cycle, basically, it is the interconversion that we see of different states of water that I've discussed: the solid, the liquid, and the gaseous state, or you can say the water vapor state. as we know that we have the water bodies like oceans, seas, rivers, and lakes. So these oceans and rivers, these are having the water, and we get the sunlight, right? So this sunlight gets this water evaporated. Now, what is the term evaporated? That we have to discuss. Whenever the liquid form, when it undergoes the high temperature, or it undergoes the solar, and it undergoes the exposure of the solar energy, it evaporates in the form of water vapors. So what happens, the water that is present in the oceans or in the seas, it gets evaporated, or it gets converted actually into the water vapor form. That is the gaseous state, right? So it reaches the atmosphere or the sky, and this sky is having the air, and the temperature goes when the air is blowing in the sky. At that time it gets condensed. Basically, condensed is also one of the terms that I want to discuss. Condensation is the process in which the water vapor or the gaseous state is actually converted into a liquid form. So what happens in sky, the water vapor form is reached, and this water vapor are actually by the exposure of the air, it's converted into the form of clouds. So these are clouds, are basically the tiny droplets of water that we gain, right? So now these clouds are having tiny droplets of water. When the water get increased or it get enhanced, then the air is not having the capability to carry it forward. So at that time, at that time, these clouds are actually precipitated. Now another term, precipitated, comes. Precipitation is basically the form of water, that is the liquid form of water or the tiny droplets of water. These get fall out in the form of rain, snow, sleet, frost. So basically it gains the gravity of the ground, and it falls in the form of rain, snow, hailstones. So this is how this water cycle goes on. And when it reaches the ground, it is collected basically in the oceans and the rivers. And the same cycle goes on. The evaporation occurs, the condensation occurs, and the precipitation occurs. I hope these three terms are having a little glimpse on you. Now let's discuss what evaporation is. Evaporation is basically the water from the oceans, lakes, and seas that gets converted, or that gets evaporated in the form of water vapor in the sky, right? And if we talk about condensation, condensation is it's a conversion of the water vapor into the tiny droplets of water in the form of clouds. That is called as condensation. And the precipitation is the tiny droplets of water that we gain. They get accumulated in the form of clouds, and these clouds undergoes this kind of gravitational force from the ground, and also the air is not having the capability to carry it forward, and it is precipitated in the form of rain and snow. So this is a small glimpse of the water cycle, that how water cycle goes on. Now the question arises that we are getting too much rainwater from the natural natural resources. Now what we can do to sustain our future is to conserve this water, so that for the future need, or whenever there is some situation when the rainfall is scanty or the rainfall is lesser, then at that time this rainwater can be replenished or can be reused for the future needs. So conservation of water is also a very, very important point that I want to include in my video today. Water can be conserved through two important methods. One of the method is rainwater harvesting. So in rainwater harvesting, the rainwater that is falling from the rooftop, from the houses, from many other sources, it can be collected in a storage tank, and the storage tank is actually linked up to the pipes. These pipes are directly leading to the ground. So it is seeping into the ground, and this process of collecting of the water seeping into the ground is known as infiltration. And the rainwater can be infiltrated into the groundwater. And actually, this groundwater can be used by the farmers for the irrigation, and this groundwater can be helpful for the hand pumps, for the wells, and for digging different kind of tube wells, so that the water can be replenished, or water can be water can be gained by the for the domestic purposes or for other purposes, right? So this is how rainwater harvesting occurs. And rainwater harvesting is one of the important techniques that we can use to conserve water. Similarly, I would like to mention two important methods in rainwater harvesting. One is Bavris, which is one of the traditional techniques that has been done in Rajasthan to conserve water. But due to the deposition of garbage and other impurities, this practice has been avoided now. And also there is one important method that can also be used other than rainwater harvesting, that is the drip irrigation. Drip field irrigation is basically a technique in which the supply of water is done to the plants, and it is supplied in such a way that the narrow tubings are connected so that it just reaches to the base of the plant so that the water cannot be wasted further. So this is how the water can be conserved, and it can be used for future sustainability. Also, I would like to share that you can also conserve rainwater whenever the rainy season comes. So you can conserve it and you can use it for various domestic purposes or for other purposes. So this is a small video that I've tried to make you understand about water. I hope this video is useful to all of you. And if you have any queries, you can ask me in my chat box. Thank you.